Hi, my fellow screenwriting enthusiasts. It's Paul from Small Town Movie Critic. Now, if you're new to the channel, we're all about helping you write that kick-ass screenplay by giving you tips, tools, inspiration, and product reviews. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about my 3 steps to that amazing screenplay idea. Now, if you've been noticing the videos that I've been doing the last couple of weeks, we're sort of building up to this idea of writing your own screenplay. So I hope you continue to keep following the channel as we help you along that journey. Now, before we begin looking for the idea that will be the crux of your kick-ass screenplay, I'm going to need you to grab a couple things. Now, the first thing you're going to need is some note cards. Now, you can get these at any type of store, Target, Walmart, etc. And I'd also like you to grab a notebook. This is mine that I keep right next to my computer. Now, you can replace these items with electronic programs like Scrivener or Word. Now, if you want to know more about Scrivener, I'll attach a link down in the comment section below, and I also have done a video recently talking about my top 9 favorite screenwriting programs for 2021. So definitely check Scrivener out. It's a wonderful tool, much better than I think Word is, but it's so much nicer, especially if you do any type of writing at all. And for the price, I think it's less than $50. You can't beat it. So give that a try if you're wanting an electronic solution instead of just paper and pencil. Now, the reason I want you to do this is because the biggest thing writers have the hardest time doing is, believe it or not, writing. And this is the habit you need to get into doing. Now, you need to start taking those wonderful ideas from your brain, and you need to get them out of your head. Now, believe me, I understand what you're going through. I had this awesome scene from a science fiction movie I was thinking about, and I love this scene so much that that's the only thing I can think about when I thought of the story. However, the scene doesn't do anybody any good if it's up here. No, for one, it doesn't do you any good because your brain is so worried about losing the idea, it keeps going over the idea time and time again. Now, this awesome idea is actually acting like a plug onto the rest of your creativity. So what we're going to be doing is doing some roto-rootering today as we unleash these awesome ideas from your imagination. We're going to transfer them down to the page, either electronic wise or on a physical page. So this is the point. I want you to take those note cards or these note cards or whatever electronic method that you want to use. I like note cards because you can see everything pretty easy and you can move them around on the page and stuff like that, or move them around on the wall or down on the floor in front of you. But you need to figure out what the most important thing is for your own process, because if it's not your process, you don't want to do my process if it doesn't feel good to you. You want to do something that feels good to you, and that's something that you're able to stick with. Now, here's the hardest part of this whole 3-step process. I want you to take those ideas, those characters, those ideas for scenes, those great pieces of dialogue, and I want you to simply write down each one on its own note card. Now, here are 2 parameters I'm going to give you for this exercise. The first one, take your time. This is not a timed exercise, so take as much time as you need. If it takes you 3 minutes, great. If you take 3 hours, that's great. If it takes you 3 days, that's fine. The important piece is you take the time to do this. Don't say, yep, I'll get to it, because you won't. It took me 10 years to get through this step, and I don't want you to take that long. Just sit down and do it. Parameter 2, don't self-censure. As a writer, one of my biggest hurdles is that internal critic who's telling me my writing is awful. So you might be thinking about putting an idea down, but your internal critic is like, I don't think so. Put the idea down. Again, you need to clean your creativity like a computer needs to have that short-term memory boot every now and again. Now, if your critic flares up, just let the critic know that they'll have time to critique your writing later on. But at this point, it's all about emptying that creative vault that you have of those highly sought-after ideas. Now, I'm not saying that for hyperbole's sake. I'm saying that because you have a unique life experience and perspective. And only one person in the world has this view and has these stories, and that's you. So it's important that you get these ideas onto the page because only you have these stories. So I would like you, I know this is dangerous to say on YouTube or on Hyper, but I want you to pause the video so you can do this. Or I want you to do this as soon as you get done writing the video. Don't say I'll do it in an hour. Don't say I'm going to do it 4 hours from now, because you won't. Do it right now. or do it right after the video. Because like I said, you need to do this. This is the one thing I've figured out as a writer is you need to take action. Action is a lot better than just thinking about it. So step two. Step two for finding that idea for your screenplay is harvesting what you have. So you've taken some time. I'm assuming you've done that. So I want you to take some time and look through your ideas. Now, I want you to look for if there's a particular theme or maybe there's a genre that you have in the to see what any of those ideas have in common. So the nice thing, if you have note cards, again, you can group all those note cards together with ideas that are similar, or another thing, if you're using Word, is you can copy and paste those ideas next to each other. If you have a notebook, you can write them next to each other so you can easily see them. Now, once you have them grouped, you can see what your ideas have in common. So in some separate space, either in another piece of the notebook or in another Word document, you can write these different connections down. And when I say different connections, I mean look at these ideas in different ways. Begin to see how they are a part of something larger. Maybe it's these elements all come together for a horror movie, or maybe it's a coming of age story, or maybe it's a great character sketch of a particular character. Or maybe all of your scenes all your ideas are about action scenes. So finally, step three, I want you to ask yourself, what are you passionate about? Now, this might seem a bizarre question at first. You might be asking yourself, what does that have to do with the price of tea in Iowa? Now, the reason I ask this question is because writing, as I said before, is a hard thing to do. I even did a video that I'll link in the video or the description below that talks about why the hardest thing in screenwriting is writing. So writing a screenplay, let me amend that sentence. Writing a good screenplay takes time. You're going to go through a lot of highs and lows with this idea. So if you're not passionate about the idea, it's really going to be easy to just let it go and you'll never finish writing that screenplay. Again, I know that from personal experience. I can't tell you the number of times I wasn't really passionate about an idea. I'd get to page 10 or 15 and then as soon as I ran into any sort of difficulty, the idea was gone. I dropped it like a hot potato, and that was it with the idea. And if you still don't believe me, just remember how much you like to avoid things that feel like work in your life, right? Like how many times did you reschedule at a doctor's appointment because you knew they were going to give you a shot? Or how many times have you told your significant other that you would finish doing the dishes? And guess what is still there the next morning? You know it's true. If you don't like if you don't like what's happening, you're not going to finish with it. So you need to have an idea that you're passionate about, because this is going to help you finish the screenplay. Now, you might be wondering what kind of idea speaks to your passion. And one of the best ways to figure that out is to think about the stories and movies that you're drawn to. Are you drawn to stories about good versus evil? Are you drawn to slasher movies? Or maybe you love romantic comedies. Look at your list, take an idea that you're passionate about, and I want you to write it in that notebook or on that Word document or in Scrivener. Now, from our 3-step process, you now have an idea for that kick-ass screenplay. Now, some of the benefits from this method that we've went through today are, 1, that you have a lot of passion around the idea you've picked. And 2, you also have created space within your brain for new ideas to form, from freeing up the bandwidth where that idea had been stored previously. And 3, and finally, you also have a bunch of other ideas on the note cards or in Word or wherever you put these other ideas that you can integrate with this overall idea, which you have a lot of passion around. Now, if you found some value in this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel, as I will be coming out with more content about helping you write that kick-ass screenplay. Now, I'd like you to please keep doing daily action towards your goal, because only you can produce those stories that will change our cinematic world. Well, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.